Hi guys, welcome back to GCSE Maths Attack. In today's video, we shall be going through the cosine rule. Just for disclaimer, we will not be going through how we derived this formula over here, which is the cosine rule. We will be purely looking at how to work out the missing length and the missing angle. So without further ado, let's begin. Now, the first thing you want to do is label your triangles. I'm going to call this A, I'm going to call this B, and I'm going to call this C. Now, anything opposite to the angle of A is going to be lowercase a. Anything opposite to the angle of B is going to be lowercase b. And anything opposite to the angle of C will be lowercase c. Now, the lowercases represent the sides. The capital letters represent angles. So how do we use this formula? Well, if I want to work out the missing length, and let's suppose I want to work out the missing length of A, the side A, I will start my equation with A squared. I need to know the angle of A. So I can't use this formula unless I know the angle of A, okay? For the missing side, you need to know the angles and the two sides. Now, if I want to work out the B squared, or the side length of B, how does this change my formula? Well, basically, this is going to become A and this will become B. Because if I want to work out the side length of B, I need to know the angle of B. So this will be A squared plus C squared, take away 2AC cos B. And if I want to work out the length of C, so the side length C, then again, this becomes A and this will become capital C. So this will become A squared plus B squared, take away 2AB cos C, okay? And that is how you use this formula and how you can manipulate this formula. Now, you don't need to memorize everything. Just memorize one of the formulas and you just need to know how to manipulate the formula and how to rearrange the formula, and we will look through that in this video. So what am I going to do now? Now, I need to look at all the sides and ask myself, which side have I been asked to work out? Now, I've been asked to work out the side length of A. So which formula is it going to be? The first, second, or third? Yes, you're correct if you said the first, because we're starting off with A squared, and that's the side length we want to work out. So what does A represent? Well, in this case, A represents X. So I'm going to call it X squared. My B represents 13 squared. My C represents 10 squared. My 2 times B, which is 13, times C, which is 10, cos 100. Okay, so remember there's an invisible times over here. So I've got X squared. If I place all of this in my calculator, I should get the value of 314.1485. Now, that doesn't give us X, it gives us X squared. Now, in order for us to work out X, we need to square root both sides. And if I square root both sides, my X becomes 17.17. Okay, so what am I going to do first? I'm going to label this. So opposite to this will be A, opposite to this will be B, and opposite to this angle C will be C. I've been asked to work out the length of BC. And in this case, that is lowercase a. So I can use this formula over here. So A squared is equal to B. So my B is 7 squared. My C is 5 squared. Take away 2. So 2 is going to be 2. B, which is 7. C, which is 5. And then cos 42. And if I place that in my calculator, I should get the value of 21.97989. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is square root both sides, and if I square root both sides, I should get the value of 4.69, and my length A is 4.69, and that's literally all you have to do. So once you know how to use the cosine formula, it's just a matter of substitution. You also do need to know how to label the triangle. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so this question, if you look at it, has given you side, side, side. Whenever you're given a triangle with 3 sides given and a missing angle, you need to be thinking of the cosine rule, because at this stage we use the cosine rule. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is label this triangle. I'm going to call this A, I'm going to call this lowercase a, I'm going to call this B, and I'll call this lowercase b, I'm going to call this C, I'm going to call this lowercase c. The next thing I'm going to do is manipulate this equation. So the way I'm going to manipulate this equation is I need to work out the missing angle A. So I need A on its own. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this negative. So I'm going to add 2bc cos A to both sides. 2bc cos A. So if I get rid of that, you got A squared plus 2bc cos A equals b squared plus c squared. After I do that, I'm going to subtract a squared from both sides, and I'm left with 2bc cos A equals b squared plus c squared, take away a squared. After I got that, I say to myself, well, I need cos A, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2bc. And I'm left with cos A equals b squared plus c squared, take away a squared, all over 2bc. After I've got that, I'm just going to put a bubble around this, because this is the formula that we will be using for this question. Okay, so if you know how to manipulate this equation, you don't have to memorize this equation over here. If you memorize too much in the exam, there will be a chance of you blanking out. Okay, so I try to tell my students just memorize one formula and know how to manipulate that formula. So I'm going to use this formula over here. So I've got cos x in this case, because A represents x, equals b squared, which is 15 squared, plus c squared, which is 16 squared, take away 20 squared, all over 2 times b, which is 15 times 16. And if you put that into your calculator, you should get cos x equals, you will get 27 over 160. Now you're not interested in cos x, you're interested in x. So you're going to do the inverse of cos. So you got cos minus 1 over 27 over 160. And if you put that in your calculator, you should get x equals 80.3. Okay, so pause the video and have a go at this question. Okay, so you're told to work out the size of the angle ABC. So that means I need to know this angle over here. So I'm going to quickly label it. After I've labeled it, because I need to know the angle of B. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly rewrite this. So if I was going to rewrite this, it would be b squared equals a squared plus c squared, take away 2ac cos B. I need cos B on its own, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation to the other side. So I'm going to plus 2ac on both sides. So I'm left with b squared plus 2ac cos B equals a squared plus c squared. I'm going to subtract b squared from both sides. So now I'm left with 2ac cos B equals a squared plus c squared, take away b squared. I'm going to divide both sides by 2ac. So I'm now left with cos B equals a squared plus c squared, take away b squared, all over 2ac. And the formula I'll be using in this question would be this one at the bottom. Okay, after this is just substitution. So cos x equals, so my A is 9 squared, my C is 5 squared, my B is 10 squared, all over 2 times 9 times 5. And if I put that in my calculator, I'll get cos x equals, and I will get 1 over 15. But the question has not been completed yet. I need x on its own. So I need to work out the inverse of 1 over 15. And that will give me the value of x. And then x equals 86 degrees. Okay, so work out the value of x. Give your answer to 1 decimal place. Pause the video and have a go at this question. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is ignore this triangle over here. I'm just going to focus on this triangle. So mind my drawing. So I'm going to focus on the triangle that has a red outline. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label it. So I'm going to call this A, call this B, and I'm going to call this C. That means this is lowercase a, this is lowercase c, this is lowercase b. The first thing I'm going to do is work out the length of A, because once I can work out the length of A, I have 2 missing sides and I can work out the length of X by using trigonometry. So what's the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute. So A squared still stays as A squared, B squared is 13 squared, C squared is 10 squared, minus 2 times 13 times 10 times cos 40. If I place that in my calculator, I would get the value of 69.828. Now, I'm not interested in A squared, so I need to square root both sides. And if I square root both sides, I would get 8.3563 ... So I'm not going to write all the numbers. Keep your answer as answer on your calculator because you will need it for this stage. So I'm going to put this as 8.3563 ... Now, after this, I have a right angle triangle, as you can see. So I'm just going to quickly highlight that. So you can see that there's a right angle triangle over here. And I'm going to quickly label this triangle. Now I'm going to use the trigonometry because I have a right angle triangle and I have a missing angle. And I have 2 sides. So I'm going to call this O for opposite, A for adjacent, and H for hypotenuse. I don't need hypotenuse, but I need the ratio of O and A. Now, if I use my triangle, I know that tan theta is in relationship with O and A. So I will need tan theta equals O over A. After this stage, I'm going to substitute the values. So tan theta equals, my opposite is 8.3567 ... You can use the button answer, all over 5. Not interested in tan theta, however I am interested in theta. So theta equals tan minus 1 8.3567 ... divided by 5, and then theta equals 59.1. So well done if you got that question correct. If not, check through your answers.